Welcome to Thursday Advanced Trainings with Petra. That's me. For majority of you know me, but today we have an interesting topic. I know a majority of you probably, I don't know, either have been faced with focus or concentration issues, but we're going to take a look at a bit deeper today, where these actually come from and how can you support yourself, not just looking at the focus and concentration. As you know me, I go a bit deeper. So we're going to look at the brain and we're going to look at what actually is influencing your focus and concentration. So you can actually start connecting the dots and start supporting your body so you can shift this challenge and not have it again in the future. Because we tend to think that focus and concentration either is an overload or, it's just a temporary thing because we're under stress. Yes, but long term, it can actually damage a lot of things in your body. So, and it's a sign of other underlying issues or performance of your body that is not optimal. So we're going to look at that. But first of all, let me just start sharing so you can actually go through the basics. Ooh, where am I? Here. I'm just gonna go and see my thingy. Okay, perfect. So as I said, today we are enhancing our focus and concentration. We've looked at a lot of other programs and a lot of other things, but tonight we are going to focus on a specific group of programs. I'm going to always add on different programs that you can support yourself with, and other exercises and things that you can actually look at to help your body shift and move into the right direction. As always, all of these trainings are my own personal experience, my knowledge, my research of over 20 years in healing my own self and shifting things that didn't work within me. And Healy devices are not, either Healy or Meg Healy devices are not intended to either treat, cure, mitigate, diagnose, or prevent any disease. Yeah. They're here to help us, support us on our journey, and literally create an environment within the body so the body can do the work itself. Yeah. So they're not magic pills. So we need to approach it differently, right? Because our Western medicine teaches us to look at the symptoms instead of actually the root cause. And Healy looks at, what's really out of balance in the body. So anything else around it can fall apart or fall away. Okay, so a bit of interaction as always. I would love to hear from you. Do you have or have you had any issues or challenges with focus and concentration? So this can be brain fog, this can be overloaded brain, memory issues, this could be, short attention span. These are all different things that, can manifest as, focus and concentration challenges. So pop in the chat. Would love to hear what is your experience and have you ever had those experiences before? I know for me, years back, when I was struggling with anxiety and depression, my focus was really out of balance. So I really couldn't focus on anything. I was really distracted really fast, and I was really agitated really fast. So I guess nobody has issues. Okay. That's actually pretty good, I guess. Jeffrey, of course, I love when you comment every time. Thank you for that. At least I know I'm talking to someone seriously, because otherwise I'm just the screen and everybody's listening. Sometimes I feel like my partner, this is just intermezzo, right? I talk to myself all the time, and my partner always asks me, are you talking to me? Are you talking to yourself? And I'm like, no, it's okay, I'm talking to myself. So he doesn't have to do the work. But I love interaction, so I would love to know, if there's any challenges, or if you want to know how to help someone else, if you have a team of people and somebody else is challenged with this. Focus and concentration too much to the total exclusion of everything else. Yes. That can also be, and when we're looking at things today in today's world, today's world is kind of focused on do 100 things at once, do not finish any of them. Yeah. So, and we can actually have an overload of a lot of information, and we never actually finish any of the tasks. So we're going to talk about a bit about that today. Yes, too much in my mind. Okay, good, Priyanka. Too much in your mind. Okay, racing thoughts. That's always good. So we need to understand why I'm asking all these questions, because we need to understand how we operate. So the more you ask yourself questions, the more you're going to learn about yourself, how your body works, how your brain works, how you are actually responding to the environment. Yeah. Because otherwise, if you don't ask yourself questions, then you're just literally operating on an autopilot. Yeah. And you're not learning about yourself. You're not exploring yourself. You're literally just trying to input information instead of actually implementing it. Random thoughts. Oh, okay. I love random thoughts. Now that gets me onto another rabbit hole. I love random thoughts that just come into my head. And sometimes a friend of mine, Katie, you know her, she did the training for the chakra here with us. We are best friends, and our conversations, some people can't follow because there's like a million thoughts at the same time, but we know what we are talking about. And if you look at it from the outside, people go, huh? What are you talking about? We always find the results out of it. So random thoughts are really interesting. Mine wanders from Earth to Mercury, Mercury to Pluto. Oh my goodness. That is an interesting combination, Mercury to Pluto. How to allow mind to just focus one thing at a time. Yes, that's a really good question, Pretty. We need to practice, right? We're going to look at how we do this. Living in the past most of the time. Okay, yes, so that's one of the things as well, not to be present, right? Past, future instead of present. And that brings a lot of stress and fears. Yeah, and that can bring also trauma. Okay, so let's look at how we can actually enhance focus and concentration. So first of all, let's look at what focus and concentration really is. Yeah, as we know, looking at the definitions, focus, literally defined, focus and concentration actually refer to the ability to direct and maintain one's mental attention, so connected to the brain, on a specific task, object, or activity. Yeah, so this is just in general. So let's look at if focus and concentration are the same thing. So when we look at concentration is actually described as an intentional act. Your intention, remember, we're working with the quantum field, so intention is really important. So without really good intention, we can't really create anything, and without focus, we can't literally pull it back into reality. So concentration is described as an intentional act of focusing your attention on the task or activity at hand. So intention of focusing to the attention, attending, putting energy to it. Focus is defined as an action or power of concentrating one's attention or mental effort on a specific thing or activity. So what's the difference? Concentration is when we are focusing, or when we actually setting an intention to do something. And focus is when we actually put in energy. Yeah. So if I say I want, I don't know, a hot chocolate, I can think about a hot chocolate, right? But I also need to put some energy into it to actually make it. Yeah. And then I need to actually get up and make it. So that's the thing, right? But the physical act of it, it's a different part. What happens in the brain is really important. Why I'm saying that? Because the majority of our mental belief systems and our emotions following those mental belief systems come from this foundation. So if we don't understand that within our brain power, we can't actually shift it, and we can't act in the moment. And it's really going to be hard for us to have some mental health clarity. Yeah. So why focus and concentration is important? So let's look at physically. Yeah. So if we look at it, just the physical part of the focus and concentration in the brain, it's, important because we need to complete certain tasks. Yeah, either in your business or in your job, or even if you have kids, or even in your daily life, right? You need to complete certain tasks from the to-do list. There's certain things you need to do. You need to tick them off, right? And when we look at focus and concentration, they actually bring efficiency and productivity. So this is where they come in when we are actually completing our tasks throughout day-to-day life. In the learning and skill development, focus and concentration actually helps us absorb and retain knowledge more effectively. So if there's issues in there, yeah, we're going to look at what happens. But if there's some issues and challenges in there, we have challenges retaining and learning certain things, or we become slower. Yeah, and it's really hard to develop ourselves. Then problem solving and decision making, that's a huge one, especially in everyday life, especially when we have a fast-paced life. We need to be vigilant, right? We need to be adaptable and flexible. So focus and concentration actually helps us better analyze, analyze, and actually help us think critically much faster. Why is that important? Because then we can actually discern and make decisions faster. Memory and retention, as we said, when we learn, we retain. And also long-term memory. So when we actually focus intently on something, yeah, intention, yeah, we're actually more likely to remember it later. So it's going to go into our long-term memory as well, because we are putting energy, electricity in the brain, neurons connecting. It's like creating new pathways, yeah? And then the brain actually imprints those, pathways into the long-term memory. Quality of work, be it in your everyday life or in business or, at your job. Focus and concentration are actually able to catch errors faster. Yeah, so when we have this really well developed, we can catch errors really fast. We can refine details more easily, and it doesn't take us as long. We save time. Stress reduction. Yes, I know. Stress reduction is connected to focus and concentration. Why? So when we understand how to focus on a certain thing really intently, yeah, and we actually dedicate that energy into it, we get things done faster, and that actually lowers the overwhelm long term. And it's really important to understand that. We're going to look at that when we multitask. And then it also improves relationships. So when we actually have really good focus and concentration, that can lead to better communication and also stronger relationships, because we observe and we are more aware of things around us, within us, and we are able to communicate better because we listen much more intently. Goal achievement. So if you have certain goals, right, you can actually see stuff in your vision, but if you don't do any steps and you don't focus on certain things and you get distracted and move away, and then you don't actually do the steps, you can't achieve those goals, right? And that can actually bring a lot of tension within your body, yeah, especially disappointment and feelings of guilt and all of that, yeah, and that can bring more stress. And focus and attention or concentration actually helps us prioritize to work steadily towards our goals, and of course increase the likelihood of achieving them. And then with personal growth, so when we are looking at the aura scans and the coaching scans and all of that, focus and concentration, especially focus, helps us to develop awareness better and faster. So if we are open and focusing on certain things, we are more open to actually receive them. And it will actually help us to develop greater self-awareness and also self-control, meaning that we will not react every single time. We will start responding because we can focus on certain things at a time. Yeah, and we're not feeling overwhelmed with things that actually literally coming at us. Yeah, and that of course brings personal development. So these are the basics, and let's look at the brain now. So, because focus and concentration come from the brain, right? They come from specific parts of the brain. Quite a lot of them are involved in focus and concentration. So, literally the whole brain, almost the whole brain is involved in focus and concentration. And this is really important because we know that we have the left and the right hemisphere basic, left and the right hemisphere, which left governs the logic, this is basics, and the right governs the emotions, So we think that, focus and concentration either comes from the prefrontal lobe, which is decision making, or the left side of the brain, which is not actually true. So there's a combination of things that happen in the brain. And when people start to support themselves, they think, focus and concentration, I need to bring more logic into it, because then that will actually help me to understand this better and to focus my energy better. But the thing is, there's a huge amount of the right side of the brain, the limbic brain, that actually is involved in focus and concentration. So I'm not going to go into all the details. I'm just going to run through it so you can start understanding the connections, because this is not for you to understand, what part of the brain does what. It's just so you have a bit of a wider perception of what's really happening when you are lacking focus, or when you are lacking, when you can't concentrate on certain things. Because when we understand how things happen, we can start connecting the dots within the body, and we can start supporting the right elements. So there's quite a few lobes in here that actually connect. So the first one is prefrontal cortex, which is literally here. And I just gave you a really basic photo with colors so you can actually connect those. And this is the front, this is the prefrontal lobe, and this is the back, and this is the spinal cord and the brainstem, So the prefrontal cortex is connected to your concentration, working memory, and executive functions. It contains high concentration of dopamine-containing nerve fibers. So we will take a look at dopamine, because dopamine is actually one of the most important elements when we try to bring and enhance concentration and focus. And those fibers actually act and are there for information processing and cognitive function. So whatever information you are receiving from the environment, this part of the brain is what's actually processing it. Then we have cerebrum that has 4 different lobes. This is the largest part of your brain. So this is literally this part here. And it actually controls movement, your speech, intelligence, and your emotions, because we have all the lobes in there. So frontal lobes, they're responsible for complex thinking, planning, decision-making, and reasoning. I never know how to pronounce this, but I think it is parental. I think, I don't get me. This lobe actually processes information. So all the downloads and everything that goes into you through your head, it's processed there. Then we have temporal lobes. These are involved in memory and language processing. Why is this important? Because if you don't understand what's coming in and what's coming out, you can't actually focus properly. Occipital lobes actually process visual information. Visual information is really important. So anything that I'm literally saying here, it can be a distraction or a support to your focus. And they can be on both sides. Then we have the hypothalamus and thalamus. They're together. So the thalamus actually carries messages from sensory organs, so sensations, to the cortex, which is inside. And it plays a role in attention and sensory processing. So anything that comes from the light, touch, things that are around you, that, it's information. Everything is information. Then we have your hypothalamus. We touched on hypothalamus before in our previous sessions, but it's a really important part of your brain. Hypothalamus actually controls different various automatic functions. So anything that's happening automatically in your body, breathing, moving the blood, and that can indirectly affect concentration, such as sleep patterns and appetite. So sleep and appetite are crucial when it comes to focus and concentration. So if you ask my partner, he will not talk to me until I'm actually fed and hungry, and fed and well. If I'm hungry, we will have a fight because I get hangry. So it's an important thing, right? So I can't focus because if my belly is rumbling and I can't really think, that's a primary need. Your body will know what's important, so you can't be focusing on that. Or for example, kids have that, right? For example, they need to pee and they can't focus. So whatever you tell them, it will just go in and out because the focus is elsewhere. Yeah. So it's really important to understand that the other functions of the body influence your focus. So you need to be aware of your body. Okay. And then limbic system. Limbic system is your emotions, is the right side of the brain. And of course, there's other areas as well. And also includes structures like amygdala and hippocampus, which actually play roles in memory and emotional regulation. So your memory, so whatever you focus on and concentrate on, will go into here. So if there's disconnections in your brain, no matter how much you focus, you won't retain information. And if there's trauma, so that's something that's important as well. If there's an emotional trauma in your body, that will also influence your long-term memory, your short-term memory, your attention span. So all of those things can be influenced through that. And then the brainstem. The brainstem is actually involved in different functions that can actually relate to your alertness and attention. So if you ever have you sleep and you have like a really tight back, like the neck at the back, you can either get a headache or you feel like you can't concentrate. There's always a gap between a thought. Yeah. So the brainstem is actually really important. If there's not enough blood going through your neck, your brain will not get enough oxygen either. So your concentration and focus will be impaired. And then we have cerebellum. Cerebellum is the reptilian brain at the back. Yeah. So it's the smallest part of the brain. Some people call it reptilian. I don't like the wording, but because I feel like this is our subconscious part of the brain. And it's, I feel like it has more potential than just being a reptilian. We know it as a role in motor coordination. Yeah. So balancing. And it also contributes to cognitive function that can affect concentration. So if there's things in there's not enough blood, or there's subconscious programming or belief systems or trauma, that can actually affect you as well. So this is just the basic. Didn't go into the depth, but just so you get to know your brain a bit better. Yeah. So you know that it exists and there's things in there for you to actually explore. So let's look at on a physical level from the environment and what you put inside and what you have under your control, what actually influences your focus and concentration. So there's few things that are really important. First is environmental factors. Noise and lighting are actually crucial for focus and concentration. So let's talk about that. So for example, excessive noise can actually be highly distracting. So we don't want any distractions, because distractions are, it's the shiny object syndrome. So the brain will focus because the brain is connected to your nervous system, and your nervous system will always try to protect you. It will always be on the lookout for, fight or flight responses. So do I need to protect you? Do I need to run? Do I need to freeze? Do I need to die? Whatever do I need to do in order to actually protect the body and protect you? And when we have noise actually is a frequency, and it's really agitating to the nervous system. So if you already have trauma, okay, sorry, my Zoom is kind of moving things and hiding things. So if you already have trauma, you could be really sensitive to noise. You also could be really sensitive to lighting. So any light that comes into the body is a message. and any noise that comes through the body or around the body is a message. So if you are sensitive to those things and you can't concentrate with things around you in that certain manner, I would really encourage you to look at not only the brain function, but also the nervous system and the trauma. So looking at what's really, in the subconscious. And of course, if you're working, at your job, or if you're working at home, make sure that your desk or where you work is actually organized. So you don't have everything messy and a lot of clutter, because brain will see that as chaos, and nervous system will actually take that as a threat. So you will not be able to concentrate, and if you will be able to concentrate, you will need extra strength and extra focus and extra energy in order to do that. So it's really important, because those things are actually happening subconsciously. As I said, bright light, natural bright light actually is quite, people that have nervous system dysregulation are quite sensitive to the bright light. So we need to understand that natural light enhances focus and productivity, while a dim and harsh lighting actually causes eye strain and reduces concentration. So it's really important that we have natural lighting, not lightning, because you don't want that, but lighting. So you can actually have the right colors of the light coming through your eyes. Like we talked about last week with skin, it's really important that you have the right colors and frequencies coming through the body. Technology. In today's world, put 1 in the comment. How often throughout the day, or let's say, who gets distracted by notifications on the phone throughout the day? If you get distracted, put 1 in a comment. I want to know how many of you are organized with your notifications. You get distracted, okay? Only 2 of you, okay? Good. The rest of you are good then. No one else is distracted. Perfect. Okay. So technology can take a huge toll and huge stress on the body. Notification and multitasking are one of the top things that are actually influencing your focus and concentration. Notification on your phone, especially of your social media or anything else that is blinking and beeping all the time, is actually stressing your nervous system. So put your phone on silent, or turn off your notification, and actually have an intentional choice to actually go into the social media and do the work there, or look at them whenever you want to. But when you are working, or where you're focusing on certain projects and things, make sure that you have a do not disturb button on. Yeah, because otherwise you are literally taxing your nervous system, and that influences your brain immensely. It actually kills the neurons in your brain. So it's really important, especially with the frequency in the mobile phones. It's really because it's agitated frequency. So it's really important to actually have a bit more control around this. Multitasking. Who multitasks? Put 2 in the comment if you multitask all the time, and if you think that that's actually a good thing. Good. Switching off notification is good. Yeah. Multitasking. Oh, wow. Okay, good. So multitasking, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but it's actually killing your neurons in the brain. It does not help you focus. It actually does not enhance your focus. It actually kills it. So multitasking does something what I like to call a zigzag pattern of neurons in the brain. And it's like you would be walking down, I don't know, a meadow, yeah, and you have like 3 different pathways towards the lake, yeah. And first you choose one path, and then you decide to jump on the other path, and you jump across the flowers and everything, and then you decide to jump on the other path. So if you look at from an aerial view, what do you think, how does this beautiful meadow with all these flowers look like? All those flowers are smashed, yeah? There is no pathway anymore. Everything just smashed. Yeah, there's nothing left. So what you're doing is actually, instead of creating a strong pathway in your brain and walking that path to actually teach your brain what you want, you're making and creating chaos in your brain, and your brain doesn't know what to do. So this creates strain, stress, and agitated nervous system. And your brain actually kills the neurons because it can't enhance them, it can't strengthen them, so there's no pathway left. So it's really important to focus on one task. Do one task, dedicate time, focus on that, finish it. Because when we finish it, we're going to look at the dopamine effect. It actually has a rewarding effect. And that actually helps us build new neurons. Your brain is more motivated to actually walk that path again. And that means that you are creating a stronger foundations in your brain, and your brain is enhancing the focus and concentration the way you want it. Physical and mental health. Sleep, stress, and of course certain medical conditions, but sleep has a crucial role in your brain regeneration. We know that when we looked at the sleep training, we know that sleep goes through cycles. We sleep in cycles, right? So in those 90-minute cycles, your brain has a processing space, and it has a regeneration space, and it has an imprinting into, long-term memory phase. So sleep is crucial. If you don't get enough sleep, you are not going to be able to concentrate. And you're also literally burning out minerals that your body and your brain needs. Your brain, it's the largest consumer of minerals and fat in your body. Your brain is literally, majority of the brain, or I think it's more than 80%. Don't get me on the percentages, but I know it's a huge part of the brain is literally made out of fat. So your brain consumes fat. It needs healthy fat in order to create new neurons. And if you don't sleep, your body can't actually create new neurons and pathways, and it can't regenerate the one that, were damaged. So getting enough sleep is so important. Stress. Any high level stress, chronic stress, can impair focus. So if you are struggling with anxiety, depression, agitated nervous system, those are all really huge factors that will influence how your brain works. Because as I said, nervous system and the brain are linked really tight together. As I said, conditions like ADHD, depression, anxiety, chronic fatigue, which is connected to your nervous system of adrenal glands, can all impact concentration. Because fatigue, when you're tired, you can't think, because your body will preserve energy for the important things. Then we have lifestyle factors. Diet. Diet is the most important thing, because you need to feed the brain. The brain needs to eat. And if you don't feed it the right things, and if you don't feed your body and your nervous system the right things, your brain will not perform the way you want to. So amino acids that build protein are really important. Healthy fats. Avoid sugar. Sugar is like a drug. It's like a heroin. It actually activates the same areas of the brain as heroin. So, and it kills, it literally drains the minerals out of your body, and it actually can kill the neurons, the connections between the neurons. Yeah, so sugar, get it out. Exercise. If you don't have enough exercise, I mean walking every day, yeah, or swimming, or doing yoga, or breathing exercises, or strength training. Exercise actually enhances the cognitive function and concentration, and it also releases really good hormones in your brain. Oxytocin and serotonin, all of those feel-good hormones that actually make you feel good. And those hormones are helping your nervous system to calm down and say, oh, we are actually happy. We don't need to be on alert. So that helps to boost your concentration. Hydration. You need water. But water doesn't come to your brain if there's no minerals. Yeah, so you need to really feed your water with minerals and your body with water and minerals. Then when you work, either job, business, or whatever you do, work habits are really important. Time management and breaks. So if you have poor time management and you don't schedule things, you don't block your times, you don't actually have a routine how you work, I'm so sorry to say, I hear this a lot. And I have clients that say, oh, when we look at the nervous system and they go, and I ask them, do you have a structure? Do you have a routine? And they go, oh, I'm really creative. Yeah, that's perfectly fine if you're creative, but creativity likes structure too. Otherwise, you can't. It's chaos. And chaos is okay, but it's a really taxing thing for the physical body. Brain loves routines. If you give your brain imagine yourself, like when we were in COVID, right? Certain situations came up that were completely unknown. Your brain was not comfortable in that situation because your brain wants security. It wants routine. It wants to know what's coming. So I'm not saying be rigid, but have time management and have a structure so you know what's coming, so your brain can relax and you can focus on one task. Breaks. So this is where I go, yes, breaks are needed, of course, because your brain needs to actually have a bit of a break and have more oxygen and so on and so on. But depends on how you work. For example, I have a friend and she does the best work if she works 50 minutes, so 50 minutes, and then have a 10-minute break. So every 50 minutes, she has a 10-minute break and she works beautifully. For me, I can't do that. For me, that's a distraction. I block 2 to 3 hours of time and I have a really deep focus. So for me, this is how I work and I've always done this. I have a really strong attention span and a long attention span and I can focus for long periods of time. So for me, I prefer to have blocks of time of 2 to 3 hours and then have a half an hour break and do some breath work and do some movement and, get the energy out and really close the chapter and move to something else. So there's options. You need to figure out how you work and how your brain works best so you can support it. But you do need breaks, and I would encourage you in your breaks to actually do some breathing exercises to bring more oxygen into your body. Okay, dopamine. So dopamine is something that has been talked about a lot, but a lot of people say, oh, you need dopamine. Oh, dopamine is so important, but why? What is the benefit of it? So why is it so important and what actually it is? So dopamine is actually a neurotransmitter. So it's literally transmits information through electricity through the brain. Yeah. And it's an element in the body that body creates. And it plays several important roles in the brain as well as in the body that are actually crucial for influencing your focus and concentration. So dopamine is an element that, as a neurotransmitter, there needs to be an optimal balance of dopamine in your body. So if it's too low, or if it's excessively too high, none of those are really good. We need to find the sweet spot. So when the dopamine levels are really low, it can actually lead to reduced alertness, difficulty concentrating, and decreased motivation. So this can feel like a bit, I'm a bit lethargic, I feel a bit depressed, that kind of thing. And then if it's excessively high, and that could actually lead to overstimulation and difficulty focusing on a specific task. So that is something that we can experience when we have adrenal fatigue, when at night we are wired and tired. So we are literally like a, buzz bunny, but we can't focus on anything because we are so tired. So that can also be one of the things happening in the body. Yeah, because of course, nervous system influences your brain. So what does dopamine does in your body, and why do you want to know about it, and why it is so important with focus and concentration? There's quite a few things that actually dopamine does. And one of the first one is alertness and attention. So it actually contributes to the feelings of being alert. So it wakes up, yeah, and wakes us up. And also sometimes when we kind of get a shock kind of situation in real life, dopamine levels and adrenaline levels go up, so we can actually be more present and be alert in that moment. And that helps us, maintain focus on certain tasks. It also enhances our ability to concentrate and stay attentive when it's optimal. So this is why for me, I have a really good dopamine balance. That's why I can actually stay focused for a long period of time, because I now learn my body and my brain needs certain elements in between. And when I'm actually feeling that that's dropping, I'm adding that and minerals and things like that, and I can concentrate for longer. Motivation and reward, cognitive effort, executive functioning, energy and enthusiasm, cognitive flexibility, sleep and regulation, all of that is dopamine is included in. So why is motivation and reward? That's what I was saying, right? So when we actually, it's connected to the brain reward system. So when we actually achieve a certain task, or we close a certain project, or we feel like we accomplished something, our brain actually extracts or creates hormones that are connected to your pleasure and feeling the reward that you actually accomplished and achieved something. And that's actually a good thing, because you're training your brain to actually want to do a scary thing again. Yeah, because the brain doesn't want to do a scary thing. The brain doesn't want to change. The brain doesn't want to move anyway. It wants to stay in the same place. But if you want to change and shift and grow, then you need to train your brain in order to actually move. And one of those things is dopamine. So reward and actually motivation are an important part. With cognitive effort, research actually shows that dopamine affects how the brain decides whether a goal is worth the effort. So when we are deciding if we're going to do something or not, the brain releases certain chemicals, and based on those chemicals, the brain decides, am I going to do this or I'm not? So it's really important to understand, to have the balanced levels of dopamine and balanced levels of brain functioning in order to actually make better decisions. Okay, so high dopamine levels also make specific parts of the brain, make people more likely to focus on the benefits of completing difficult mental tasks rather than the costs of them. So if you have balanced dopamine, you will be more likely to actually take on a challenging task and look at the benefits or the positive part, or look at the vision of what you're going to actually get out of it, instead of looking at it from a fear perspective of, oh, this is going to happen, this is going to be horrible. Yeah. So this is really good for when we're trying to change our mental beliefs and patterns that we've been having for a long time. It's also involving executive function, which includes working memory, planning, and decision making. And this is also really essential for focus and concentration. And then energy, enthusiasm. So how energetic are we? How passionate are we about certain things also is determined by our levels of dopamine and the balance of the brain, right? Because when we have balance between the neurons in the brain, everything else works better. Yeah. And then we have, of course, cognitive flexibility, which means how adaptable is our brain and how adaptable are we to the situations at hand. For example, if we have dynamic environments, we need to actually be aware really, really well. We need to kind of respond to the environment faster. So if we don't respond to the environment fast, we can be, literally ambushed. Yeah. So we feel like we're being attacked. So the faster our brain works, the faster we can respond in the situations. And again, sleep regulation. So dopamine actually plays a huge role in sleep patterns. So how we sleep through the night, if we go into deep sleep. And of course, that affects concentration. Okay. So how can we help? How can we support, and how can we enhance our focus and concentration? So let's look at the basic things first before we go into programs. So first of all, we need to eliminate distractions. When you work or throughout the day, if you feel like your phone is beeping, turn off notifications. And if you're working, find a quiet workspace. If you feel like the noise is too much for you, use noise canceling headphones. So there's like those little things now that you can regulate the noise from the outside as well. Mindfulness and meditation. Meditation has been proven to actually change the levels of hormones and dopamine in your brain. And that actually enhances your focus and concentration, because it also slows your breath, slows your heartbeat, and literally calms your nervous system farm. Yeah. So make sure that you include your meditation in your daily routines, even if it's 3 minutes, 3 times a day in between, to just stop and check in. Of course, exercising regularly. Yeah. So you need to exercise, even if you're just walking, breath exercises, and have some breaks in between the blocks of focusing. Sleep, we talked about sleep as well, 7 to 9 hours, go to bed at 10, wake up at 5, 6, up to 7, and have a consistent sleep schedule. If you are, going up and down with timing of when you go to sleep, that actually messes up with your rhythms in the brain. Diet. So let's look at how you can actually enhance things. Your brain needs omega-3 fatty acids. So ideally, you want to add omega-3s, antioxidants, and complex carbohydrates, which are low in GI. So meaning low sugar, yeah, like sweet potato, for example. It's really important to feed your brain with the right foods. Greens, so chlorophyll, things like that, those are really important too, because they're high in antioxidants and minerals and vitamins. I will give you some programs how you can support yourself with that. And we also have digital nutrition mixtures this month. So we're going to look at that as well in a separate training. Again, water with minerals is important. Practice single tasking instead of multitasking. So focus. I normally like to block my time, and I actually have not more than 3 things to do in those blocks. And then I literally focus on the first thing, do it, tick it off the list. Focus on the second one, do it, tick it off the list. And you will see that you get more productive throughout the day if you actually do that, instead of focusing on too many things at once. You can also train your brain. Yeah, so you can do puzzles, memory games, cognitive exercises. There's so many of them out there. But if you do want to have a simple one, I can show you one that I love when we are like in stress. You need to kind of lower your nervous system and start connecting your left and right brain. So a really good, really simple breath to actually do that is a double inhale. So if you literally inhale again at the top, and then slowly release through the mouth. If you do that 5 times, your nervous system will drop. And then if you want to combine it to actually start connecting the left and the right side of the brain, what you can do is with the breath, you can inhale. And while you exhale, you literally snap your fingers on the right hand, left hand, and then put your hands together. So what you're doing is you're activating different sides of the brain and then bringing them together. So you're kind of connecting them, and that actually trains your brain to be connected at all times. So it's not you using just one side of the brain, preferably or favorably throughout the day. So that's just one simple thing that you could do. And then, of course, practice deep work. I mean block time, deep focus into things. Give away, like literally do not disturb. Put your phone, your computer, like when I'm working, I put my computer on do not disturb. I have no notifications, no calls. I literally block my time and I focus really well, like really deeply. Because when you do that, your brain and your body uses the energy to actually do the work. And it's not focusing on anything else. Your nervous system is not distracted. And you can focus on important things. Okay, let's look at the programs. So one of the program groups dedicated to this is the learning program group. but I have added some extra programs for you, which I found were quite helpful. Yeah. But you, as I always, you need to try it on yourself to see what your body really needs, because your needs will be different from mine and from someone else. So we have a learning list of programs, and there's few of the programs that work on concentration, there's few of the programs that work on focus. But what I do love in this list of program groups is that you also have your stress. So these are actually helping you to subside the nervous system, so it opens up the alertness in the brain. So what happens when we are in an emotional state? When we are in an emotional state, we can't think rationally, because the side of the brain that's a logic side of the brain and the prefrontal cortex actually get cut off. So there's no connection. The only side of the brain that's actually working is the cerebrum, which is the reptilian brain and small brain, and the right side of the brain, yeah, which is the limbic brain, which is the emotions. So it's really important to calm down the stress in order to start linking both hemispheres together. With exam, you have also the tension in the body, because when our body is already under stress, it goes into the fight flight response. So your stress signals are already active. So this actually relaxes your muscles as well. And then we have your learning systemic and learning acute, which actually help you retain memory, not only boost concentration, but also retain memory long term. And then, of course, memory is the long-term memory. So you actually can, when you sleep, you can actually retain those long-term, not just short-term. And then we have the concentration systemic, which is the field for achievement, meaning you actually getting things done. So for example, if you're working and you actually want to get your tasks done, concentration systemic is actually a really good one. One of the really good ones is also activation. This one, the concentration acute, is actually for focusing. So if you have problem focusing and you get distracted, run this program to actually start connecting the brain neurons and actually balancing both lobes to actually help you focus better. I also gave you some extra programs that I like to use. I like the classical energetic. In power of 3, I tend to do classical energetic or classical physical because classical physical works on the adrenal glands and the nervous system. The classical energetic actually works on your hypothalamus glands and your energy in the body. And of course, the Kapha Pitta Vata if something is out of balance. But I also like to use digital nutrition. So we're going to look at the digital nutrition towards the end of the month. I love brain harmony. So we need to understand that digital nutrition is literally helping us absorb nutrients to actually feed the brain. So if you're running these programs, brain harmony, nerve harmony, antioxidants, and tissue harmony, they will help you absorb specific nutrients from the food that you're eating, because we need building blocks. To actually feed your brain and your nervous system to actually help you regenerate faster. Otherwise, activation is a great programming job to help you actually activate the energy within the brain. If you feel overwhelmed or you feel like you're being distracted, or there's a lot of things coming from the environment, in bioenergetic defense, there's a mental program that's actually really good to help protect your brain from a lot of distractions from the outside, so you can actually focus your energy inward. Bioenergetic harmony 1, sensitivity, so that if you're really sensitive to information from outside, if you're really sensitive to noises, then you have nerve harmony and cell harmony and bioenergetic vitalization, which are really good. We're going to look at that. I actually got yesterday, I got the bioenergetic vitalization protocol, advanced protocol coming, and we're going to have a session on that. I think it's on the 18th, if I'm not mistaken. This works on your DNA and RNA. So, and then we have the gold cycles. I also like to use crown chakra or third eye chakra. We're going to have a special session for the pink programs on the chakras, but I actually like to use these programs to open up the energy that's coming through, or to balance if it's too open. Because we need to understand that certain things that are happening on a physical level are influenced by the energetic field of the emotions as well. So the energy that's flowing through. So I like to use those. If you have a Mag Healy, there's quite a few programs on Mag Healy that are really good. You can try them which you prefer. So head harmony, cell harmony in the classical one. There's office and study in atmosphere 1, coherence in atmosphere 2. Then you have, I know this is water. You can charge your water, but I like to use that on my body because I'm 80% water. Yeah. Mental clarity in water 2. Neck harmony in McMaken 1, because you need to open up this space if it's too tight. Yeah. And then brain harmony, nerve harmony, and thalamus. There's a thalamus harmony in McMaken 2, which we know, hypothalamus and thalamus, they work on the nervous system as well as concentration and focus. So those are all programs that I would recommend. As again, there is no protocol to this because it depends on what you want to support. So try them out, see how you go, and let me know. Would love to know. Okay, any questions? Let me just stop sharing. And let's see if there's any questions on this. If you have a question, you can pop your hand up as well. I'll just go through a chat while we're doing. Oh, okay. Oh, look at the turtle. I like the turtle. Let me see, Priyanka. Here you go. You can unmute.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
So hi Petra. Hi. So my question is for kids who have got this autism, ASD autism, they have got speech disorder. So what can be done along with the focus and concentration for the speech, because the speech requires concentration. So is there anything specifically you will mention for them?
Okay, again, Healy, this is official, right? Healy, it's not recommending to use Meg Healy or Healy on the kids. But if this would be an adult person, what I would be thinking of is if there's probably a disconnection within the brain. Yeah. So looking at either the thalamus, the hypothalamus, looking at the balance of the brain. Yeah. So you can combine either things of, looking at the Mag Healy, the McMaken programs, looking at the nervous system, looking at, I would run learning programs to actually see, you could scan on the Blue app, what programs are actually coming up. You can just scan the learning programs and see what are the top ones. But make sure that if you are doing the programs, make sure that you are doing them long term, so that they're not just sporadical. Make sure that you can have like certain programs that you're using like daily, and use them for at least 3 months, because the consistency is what you want, especially when it's like really out of balance. It might not be just speech, it might be how things are, how a person is processing things in their brain, and it could also be a chakra connection, right? So there's so many things that you could look at. And I wouldn't just go because we see something, we think that that's it. I would actually go and step backwards. Like I always teach this, right? It's step backwards and see and start asking questions of what could be influencing this, and start observing the person around, how they are processing things, how they're processing the world. Are they expressing, how they're expressing? Maybe they have a different way of expressing. So I feel like sometimes we put labels on things just because they're not in a box of what we think they need to be. But sometimes it's just a different approach, that somebody's doing it in a different way, and they might need a different support. So this is how I would approach it. But again, Healy is not recommended for kids. So this is on your own responsibility.
Yeah, it's about a person who is 20 years old and
Okay, so that's an adult. Yeah.
yeah,
That's an adult.
yeah,
That's not a kid. Yeah. So in this case, I would definitely, if you have a Mac Healy, McMaken programs are amazing. Yeah. So I would definitely look at the combination of thalamus harmony, which is in the McMaken. I would look at the learning programs, so you can actually look at the brain. I would definitely look at digital nutrition, and then look at scanning of either aura, vital substances in the blue app to see what, sometimes it can be a deficiency, so it depends, right? So there's so many different approaches you can go with. Yeah. Because I don't know this person. And you can also go to a time weather practitioner, and they will actually give you more specific details on that, and even give them a specific programs for that. Yeah.
thank you. Thank you so much, dear. Thank you.
You're welcome, Priyanka. Okay. Let me just see if there's anything else in the chat. Otherwise, we're gonna finish. Now I have stopped multitasking. Good one. Is there any way of regenerating nervous neurons in the brain? Of course. So remember, right? Neurons in the brain are electricity and the connection and the tissue. So you need to balance the electricity within the body. So bioenergetic vitalization programs are really good for that. Building the digital nutrition are really good for that. And starting the brain harmonies, right? Anything within the brain, frequencies within the brain will balance the neurons. So depending on what is the intention behind that, why is that you want to balance those, right? So I always ask questions of, I want to do this, but why do you want to do this? Because if you don't know why you're going to do it, then you're just doing it without understanding where you're going, right? How many programs can we do in? Okay, Dr. Shagufta, I can't answer that one, unfortunately. Programs to clear past lives. Well, there's the past. Is that Jeffrey? Sorry, is that the answer for the above? I didn't know. Yeah, probably. Sorry. Has been successor of 5-year-old. Yeah. There's success stories all the time, right? But we also need to understand we work with quantum field. So we need to be ready. We need to be ready to step into that person of being healed. So it's not just trying to fix things, because there's nothing to fix. Yeah, we need to kind of shift our perspective into there's nothing wrong with us, there's nothing to fix, there's only our path back to balance. So how can I find my way? How can I actually be a balanced person within myself before the physical happens? Yeah, so this is a completely different approach to balance, healing, whatever you want to do. It's not like Western medicine. This is a completely different approach. You need to really move away from this is the label and this is what this works for this label. It's okay, this is the label, but what's influencing this label? What's causing this label? Okay, and then going, but this is just out of balance. Who am I in balance? Who am I as a person that's fully in balance on all levels? How does that feel like? How does that look like? How do I act? How do I behave? And really looking at that on a quantum field, and then solutions present themselves. So it's a really different approach of how we do life. How to bring focus and seriousness in studies for 50. Okay. Can I reframe that sentence? So this is a sentence, right? This is a question. How to bring focus and seriousness in studies for a 15-year-old? I will reframe this, because if we are actually asking how to bring seriousness into something, then they will not learn. I don't like to learn when things are serious. I like to learn when things are fun and when they're actually engaging, when I actually want to be literally pulled into something. So we need to understand that responsibility and seriousness are two different things. We teach responsibility for ourselves and for our kids by leading by example. But seriousness does not mean that there's lack of responsibility. I have fun now more than I ever had, and I've been serious all my life. And I've done more now in this era of my life than I had before. So make sure that you shift your mindset, especially with kids, because kids are supposed to be innocent. They're supposed to play. They're supposed to explore. Yeah, that's how they're going to learn. Please don't kill those neurons in the brain. That's all I'm gonna say. In autism case switch program we have to run again. Label program does not work. Ask yourself, if this is the label, what is influencing it? So do a bit of research, understand how it works, and not only research on the online what doctors are saying. Observe your child, observe your person that you're wanting to support. How are they acting? How are they behaving? Where do they need support? Because the label might be just something that we think it's wrong, but it's just stretching our brain to actually present and express in a different way. We don't have to fix anything, remember? Okay, so Dr. Vereshguda, I have no idea how to pronounce it. I'm so sorry. The second question, Healy is not recommended with people with epilepsy because it can actually trigger seizures. Yeah. So we need to really be aware and observe how to approach this. Healy does not recommend to approach this at all because it's one of the things that is on the now I've lost the word, contraindications. But make sure that, you know, if you have a Meg Healy and they are in the space, that you run things on a low frequency and that you look at, again, label program does not work. You're not going to have results that way. Maybe short term you will for first 3 months, but long term you won't shift anything. You need to shift the perspective. Yeah. Why is this happening? Not why to me, but looking at a deeper cause of where is this coming from? Because, you know, anything in the brain, normally it's a deficiency that the brain is not actually working optimally. Where am I? Yes, in epilepsy, yes, correct. We avoid Healy with epilepsy because this is a contraindication. It's like pacemakers in the heart. And like Jeffrey said a few sessions back, and I didn't even know that Meg Healy and coil can influence the new pacemakers as well. So be aware of that because frequency is a strong thing. And if whoever is in our group, I haven't been active this week, it's been full on, but the Power of 3 protocol, people think frequency is basic, right? We've had enormous, you know, symptoms for people come up because frequency go really, really deep. And that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying that the body is cleansing things out, but they're powerful. So make sure that you don't underestimate things. Yeah, less is more, always. How to run this program sequence. You mean for the learning? There is no program sequence for the learning. So I would just choose the programs that you would like. There's no protocol around it. But if you want to support something specific, then you can use the Heal Advisor app, the search app, and just pop in the condition that you want. It's going to come up with the top program list package. Then choose that. You're going to have a list of program. You can add it into your IMF schedule and you can run that if you want to as a protocol. So that's your own little protocol that you can create in the app. Magnetically, yes. So if you have the pacemakers are programmed magnetically, so if you have a magnetic field from the Meg Healy, then it can influence that, right? Correct, Jeffrey? If I'm correct in that, yeah, correct. Okay. Ma'am, how to regenerate nerves in brain using Healy? So neurons again, any programs in the learning system will influence your neurons in the brain, right? If there's something that's lacking in the brain, again, there probably is a deficiency in your body, either minerals or nutrients or things that are missing. So digital nutrition, bioenergetic vitalization, those are all programs that can help. A video link for using search app. Okay, we've done this many times in the trainings, but I can pop one in the Facebook group if that will be helpful. I can do a screen share. Okay. Pregnant women should avoid Healy and make Healy. Yeah, pregnant women, Healy does not advise the use of Healy or make Healy for pregnancy because there hasn't been any research done on it. So you need to be aware of that before you choose that for yourself. If you do choose to use it, then it is on your own personal choice. Yeah, so Healy as a corporate can't recommend that, but they haven't done any research on that. So the Facebook group is at the top of this chat, so I can actually, it's a short chat today, so I can copy paste it again for you if you would like to. And there's all trainings in the Facebook group. Make sure when you join, please make sure to tick I accept the rules, because otherwise you won't be accepted. Yeah, to make sure that you do that. Okay, if there's all of the questions, hope this was valuable. Next week, I have no idea what we're doing next week again, but we are going to have a great topic this month. So we have bioenergetic vitalization as well as digital nutrition this month, which I'm really excited about. So thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for coming. I will be seeing you next Thursday night. Have a great night. Bye-bye.